Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Virginia City Council meeting. I'll call this meeting to order at 5:35 p.m. Today's date is Tuesday, May 28th, 2019. Pam, would you please take the roll call?
Baraboo,
Present.
Friedlieb, Paulson,
Here.
Beyondich,
Present.
Johnson,
Here.
Baranzelli,
Here.
Cuffey.
Here, would everyone please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Move to item 3 on the agenda, item 4 on the agenda, which is a public forum. This is a time where anyone in the audience may come forward and speak before the council. Is anybody in the audience like to come forward and speak before the council this evening? Seeing none, we'll move to item 5, the consent agenda. The following items will be enacted by one motion unless a councilor or a citizen of the city of Virginia requests that the item be considered separately. Item 5.1 is the approval corrections of the minutes of the regular meeting held May 14th, 2019, and the special meeting that was held May 13th, 2019. Item 5.2, the adoption of Finance Resolution Number 1-010, the schedule of bills. Item 5.3, approve the travel request for Susan Hoppy from the library to attend the seat changes in libraries June 7th, 2019 in Duluth, Minnesota at a cost of $127.50. Item 5.4, approve the Virginia Community Foundation exempt application to conduct a raffle November 20th through the 23rd, 2019 at the Virginia Elks Log number 1003. Item 5.5, approve the request from the Virginia Foundation and Revive Virginia to hold the Festival of Trees on November 20th through the 23rd, 2019. And finally, in addition to the agenda item 5.6, approve the transient merchants application for Barry Thomas Lane doing business as B Street Tacos. These are the consent agenda items as proposed. Do I have a motion to approve?
I will move the consent agenda.
Councilor Johnson moves the consent agenda for approval. Is there support?
I'll support with the removal of one item temporarily.
Support by Councilor Baraboo with request for one item to be removed. And which item would that be, Councilor Baraboo?
The special meeting minutes, I just noticed that present I'm not listed in the being there, and I was there because there's a motion at the bottom that I made.
So under
correct that.
Under item 5.1, the special meeting that was held May 13th, 2019, your name was inadvertently left out of the meeting. You would like that correction made?
Please.
Reflect the record. And will do so. So with that correction, we'll move all consent agenda items be approved. Is there a motion? And a second to approve all items, including item 5.1, the correction of Councilor Baraboo's name to the special meeting agenda, or minutes, excuse me. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 6, appearances. There is no one scheduled to appear before the council this evening. Once again, we offer anyone in the audience who'd like to come and speak before the council, welcome to do so. Seeing none, move to item 7, unfinished business. Item 7.1, adopt a resolution accepting the proposal to purchase city parcel number PC, that's Paul Charles, number 090-0074-00070, which is Lot 3, Block 2 of the Fairview Edition. This is the second reading.
I will move the second reading of the
I'll support.
sale.
Councilor Johnson moves the second reading for approval for the purchase of this parcel, supported by Councilor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Johnson.
We are selling it to somebody. We are not purchasing it, so it's.
Correct. Yeah, it's the purchase of a private party. We are selling the property. Yes, that is correct, sir. Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item 8, discussion items. Item 8.1, approve the pay estimate number 1 for the ATV Trail Project in the amount of $28,863.85 to Masaba Bituminous. And this money that's being allocated is part of a grant, is that correct?
Correct, from
Great.
IRRB.
A IRRB grant, thank you. Move to approve by Councillor Freely. Is there support? Support by Councillor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Item 8.2, approve the following variances. Item 8.2A, to consider the following variance request from Johanna Salo, 307 10th Street South, Virginia, Minnesota. Item 8.2A1, request for a 1.6-foot variance to the maximum 3-foot allowable height of a fence in a front yard in order to construct a fence 4.6 feet in height in the front yard. Do I have a motion?
I will move based on recommendation of the Planning Commission.
Moved by Councilor Johnson for approval based on the recommendation from our Planning and Zoning. Is there support?
I will support.
Support by Councilor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries. Item 8.2B, to consider the following conditional use request from the Range Transitional Housing for 220 5th Street North in Virginia. Item 8.2B2, Range Transitional Housing is proposing to have their office operations, which have 6 to 7 staff members and an apartment, to provide emergency housing to a family in need in an R-5 over 12 multifamily residential district. Recommendation to approve was being proposed by our Planning and Zoning Commission.
Also move the conditional use permit for that stated purpose.
Moved by Council Baraboo to approve the request. Is there support? Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We'll move to item 9, committee reports. Item 9.1, the Committee of the Whole meeting that was held on May 21st, 2019. We'll turn this portion of the council meeting over to our City Administrator, Britt C. Bennett. Britt?
Thank you. At the May 21st Committee of the Whole meeting, we had a presentation by Mrs. Ashley Smarja from the Virginia Rotary Club requesting to waive the rental fee at the Miners Memorial Building for the chili cook-off that will be held in September. The Virginia Rotary and the Quad City Rotary are taking over the St. Michael's Foundation chili cook-off that's been held annually for the last 9 years. They had asked for a request to waive the building rental fee of $450 because they have to pay for the police officers to be present as liquor will be served at the event. It was moved and supported to allow the cook-off to be held at the Miners Memorial Building on September 19th, 2019, from 4 to 7, and to waive the $450 rental fee of the facility.
Do I have a motion?
I will move that we allow Rotary to host the chili cook-off at the Miners and waive the $450 fee this year.
Moved by Councilor Johnson to approve. Support by Councilor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. It was moved and supported to approve the replacement of the fine screen brushes at the wastewater treatment plant in an amount not to exceed $15,000.
And this is-
Also move that request for the replacement of the fine screens brushes for the wastewater treatment plant in excess not to exceed $15,000.
Moved by Councilor Baraboo to approve. Is there support?
Support that.
Support by Councilor Barnzelli. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Because of a request from some downtown business owners, we had Mr. Matt Reed, our city engineer of record, prepare a quote, estimate of what he thought it would cost to renovate the 400 block parking lot on First Street North. It was moved and supported to allow us to now seek quotes on that parking lot renovation of the parking lot at 400 block of First Street North and to bring the quotes back to the city council for review.
Do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
I will move that we allow SCH to seek the quotes and bring it back to us before any further action.
Thank you. Moved by Counselor Johnson to approve the city to seek quotes only for the parking lot renovation and bring that back for the city council for consideration. Is there support?
Support that.
Support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Counselor Bearable.
I don't have a problem with going out for quotes, but with the state of the budget right now, I don't think we're going to be able to do anything with that in this fiscal year. Some information I believe you'll be giving to us later at the end of the meeting will justify why I'm saying this. I can't support this at this time because we're not going to be able to do the work this year, and we don't have the money. Won't have it in the, it's not a thing that comes through state aid funds unless we seek a grant on it. Britt, are we looking for a grant?
I cannot get a grant unless I have an idea of what it's going to cost.
We have to have a quote before we
Okay,
can
then
apply for
I'll back off on that, but hate to see us
I know.
get quotes and give somebody a quote, and we can't do the work till next year, and that's what I'm concerned about.
Sure. Okay, thank you, Counselor Bearable. It's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. Per city ordinance, the city council must approve an all-terrain vehicle route in the city by resolution. It was moved and supported to approve the resolution to designate the proposed revised all-terrain vehicle route map in the city of Virginia. The map will be posted on our website and available at all city buildings.
Thank you. This was moved and supported at committee level to move forward with the adoption of this designated route. Is there a motion from the floor?
Move the adoption of the resolution.
Moved by Counselor Johnson to adopt the resolution. Is there support? Support by Counselor Beyondich. Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Yes, Counselor Johnson.
Is that the resolution, the one we got on our desks this afternoon? Mayor, would you read that resolution?
I certainly will.
Because it is fresh to us right now.
Sure, can do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Yep, thank you, Counselor Johnson. This is a resolution, a number yet to be assigned. The City of Virginia, May 28th, 2019, resolution approving the updated ATV trail map within the City of Virginia, resolved by the City Council of the City of Virginia that, whereas the City of Virginia is the administrator of the ATV trail, and whereas the ATV trail, as shown in Exhibit A on the map, will exit off the bridge area to First Avenue West, follow 3rd Street North, and west onto 9th Street North to Highway 53, all within the city limits of Virginia. Now therefore it be resolved that the City of Virginia, as the trail sponsor, has the responsibility for the maintenance and repair of the trail for those portions listed above on Exhibit A. And it's been moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome.
So there's also, so that's the official trail, but folks are able to go shortest route from their home utilizing preferably alleys to the trail. And there are some designated spots on the map where ATV traffic is not allowed at all due to safety concerns. I want to make sure everybody knows
correct.
to look for things, so.
Yeah, that is
thank you,
correct,
Mayor.
Counselor Johnson. And if it is possible, I know we've moved and supported, but could we also, is there a way to publish that in the paper, the ATV map
Absolutely,
trail?
yes.
Thank you very much. It's moved and supported. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
With an IRRB grant, the city is working on the ATV trail connection from the Highway 53 bridge into Virginia. We had a request for a change order to purchase extra guardrails along the trail as required by RGGS in our agreement with them. It was moved and supported to approve change order number 1 for the ATV Trail project in the amount of $2,487.10 in order to purchase extra guardrail as per the RGGS requirements for that connection.
And the money is coming from
City funds.
city funds. Very good. Okay, thank you.
I'll make that motion to purchase from 2487.10.
Moved by Counselor Johnson to approve the change order of the amount of $2,487.10 for the purchase of the extra guardrails pursuant to the RGGS requirements for the easement. Is there support?
I'll support.
Support by Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Johnson.
Thank you, Mayor. And this, just to put this into perspective, this is really the only cash the city has put into this project. The rest of it has been paid through grants, $50,000+ of additional grants from outside sources. So for the little we're putting in, we're getting a pretty big return on investment. So in these tight budget times, I think this is a good expenditure to increase traffic in the city, tourist traffic and such.
Yes, thank you, Counselor Johnson. It is my understanding, Britt, if I am correct, we are making a request for the ATV Club to help pay for that or not?
We have not.
We have not. Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Brian Silver, the Park and Recreation Director, reviewed the request from the Park and Recreation Commission to again change the traffic pattern in Alcott Park. It was moved and supported to approve the suggested traffic map for Alcott Park and install the appropriate signage that is needed for speed and direction of traffic.
And I believe there were 3 concepts, and we approved concept number 2. Okay, thank you. Counselor Beyondich.
I'll make the motion.
Counselor Beyondich moves to make the motion to move forward with the authorization for the route change at the Alcott Park. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Friedlieb. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
A letter was sent to the council, I should say received by the council, regarding the current ownership of the Benai Abraham Museum and Cultural Center. The group that is managing the Cultural Center is asking the city to consider taking ownership of the building and to continue maintenance of the facility. It was moved and supported to allow staff to meet with the representatives of the Benai Abraham Museum and Cultural Center, which is located at 600 4th Avenue West, to discuss the potential possession of the building by the city.
Counselor Friedlieb.
I would make a motion to certainly allow the staff to meet with representatives from B'nai Abraham, particularly including Brian Silber, I think, because this potentially could be a venue for park and rec type of activities. I know it's already being used. I think they're slowing down on that right now because of the age of the people that are overseeing that facility, but I think it would be, like I said before, this is a kind of building that's in the kind of shape that we'd like to see many of the buildings come to in this city, and it comes with a $50,000 some odd fund balance that would cover the annual costs of operating that building for upwards of 7 to 10 years potentially. And so I think it's a good idea to at least open up that discussion and see what we could do with that building as a city.
And this is your motion?
To go ahead with allowing the staff to meet with
A
those.
motion to move forward with the allowing staff to meet with the B'nai Abraham board to determine the feasibility of the city acquiring the property. Is there support?
I will support.
Support by Councilor Baraboo. Is there any further discussion? Just one quick note, I think whatever staff you deem is appropriate to meet and then come back with a recommendation. Thank you very much. Is there any further discussion on this matter?
Just one
Yes,
thing, if I
Councilor
may.
Baraboo.
We all received a list at our committee of the whole meeting of what's been done to that building, and it's all been upgraded to all the building code standards, the whole shot from ADA requirements to everything. So I think this is a much worthwhile looking at.
Thank you, Councilor Baraboo. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Discussion was held regarding the vacant position in Public Works Department for a skilled laborer. After much discussion, it was voted to not fill the skilled labor position at this time, but to review the position at the Committee of the Whole meeting on Tuesday, August 6, 2019.
Is there a motion? Motion by Counselor Barnzelli. Is there support? Okay, supported by Counselor Freely with that codicil. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed, motion carries.
It was moved and supported to approve having a discussion regarding the skilled labor position at a Personnel Committee meeting and to request city staff to be in attendance, including Finance and HR Director, myself, and the Public Works Director.
And that was requested to be made in the form of a motion. So there is looking for a motion at this meeting to
Also move that.
bring staff together in a special personnel committee, moved by Counselor Paulson. Is there support?
I would support that, but I would just, I mean,
Yeah, support by Counselor Freely. Discussion. Counselor Freely.
with these kinds of positions, I don't know that we as counselors want to become micromanagerial in a sense, but I think it is important for us to have some details in regard to the job description and the job duties and job responsibilities, that kind of thing. And this may be as good a time as any to have that kind of discussion at that point.
Yeah, and thank you. And the purpose of this is to discuss it in detail at the Personnel Committee level. It will come back again to the Committee of the Whole for discussion before and approval and adjustment before it comes to the regular City Council meeting for a potential adoption. So thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Counselor Johnson brought forward a request for a letter of support for the Mesabi Range College to apply for a Zenith grant, which would assist them in seeking funds to assist students with emergency assistance. It was moved and supported to draft that letter of support for the Mesabi Range College application for that grant.
I would move that letter of support as presented in our packet.
Moved by Counselor Johnson. Is there support? Support by Counselor Freely. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Counselor Beyondich requested that we could consider holding a town hall meeting for the benefit of the general public and to conduct the meeting at a neutral location with staff working to set the date and time and advertise for the meeting. It was moved and supported.
Thank you. Do I have a motion, Counselor Beyondich, to move forward with that? Counselor Beyondich moves to set a town hall meeting and have staff determine a time and date that's amenable to all of us. Is there support?
I'll support that.
Yeah, support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none. I'm sorry, Counselor Freely.
Just, would there be an agenda for that evening, or is it just an open shotgun kind of approach to,
We're anticipating holding it at the senior center with the round tables and coffee, and I kind of threw around the title, Coffee with the Council,
okay,
so to make it seem like an informal feel.
sure, all right, thank you.
And I think it's appropriate, as we consider this moving forward, that staff will have to be there to answer some questions that we can't answer, or you determine that it's only going to be with the council.
If the staff can attend, they will, but we'll see how the
Thank you. Okay. It's been moved and supported. We have an idea where the agenda and where this location is going to be. And as our city minister and his staff shores up that meeting for all of us, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Committee of the Whole discussed our employee insurance health plan. Information was given regarding the PEEP plan as well as other potential plans that the city has reviewed. It was moved and supported to authorize changing the health insurance company to Public Employees Insurance Program, or PEEP, as of July 1, 2019, for the City of Virginia City Council, contract employees, and non-contract employees.
Also move that recommendation in that motion.
Moved by Counselor Bearable. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Counselor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The committee of the whole meeting was recessed at 12:06 PM for a closed session to discuss a memorandum of understanding for those insurance changes. We reconvened at 12:16. It was moved and supported to approve offering a memorandum of understanding to the collective bargaining units in order to allow for the change of health care coverage.
Counselor Paulson?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to make a motion, because I believe that we have to, after approving our decision to move forward with PEEP, that we have to give the Northeast Service Co-op a written letter with a 30-day notice to discontinue our health insurance coverage, and I think that we should do that by May 31st if we're to make it by the PEEP deadline. So I'd like to make that motion.
Okay, okay, motion, okay, we'll do the other
Back to this one.
backwards, okay. A motion by Counselor Paulson to send a letter to Northeast Rural Co-op discontinuing health insurance coverage prior to May 31st.
30 days.
30 days,
Yes.
that's right. Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. A motion by Counselor Paulson, it was supported? Do I have a support? Support by Counselor Beyondich. Is there any further discussion? Counselor Bearable.
I just have one question, Britt. If we notify elimination without actually getting approval from our unions, does that leave us in limbo with no insurance then after the 1st of July if they don't approve going forward with, because we have to have 51% of the union membership to go forward with this, correct?
For the pricing we're offered, we have to have 51%. If we don't have 51%, we will have to go to underwriting and might get different premium pricing. But it depends on how many people we have that go with us.
So are we technically then forcing the union out, is basically what we're doing? If
We have
they
to
don't,
decide I think I gave them a deadline of tomorrow to let us know.
okay. Because they haven't done that yet, from my understanding.
2 of them have.
2 of them have, okay, all right. Then, I didn't know about those.
One of them had a vote today, and I have not heard from the 4th one yet.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we're okay then, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Any further discussion on Counselor Paulson's motion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. We have to go back and approve the memorandum of understanding.
Yes,
Is
please.
that correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion on the floor to move forward with the exception, or to move forward with the memorandum of understanding that was discussed and approved at the committee of the whole level.
We'll make that motion.
Motion by Counselor Johnson, is there support?
Support that.
Support by Counselor Bearable. Is there any further discussion?
Just one
Councilor
piece,
Bearable.
did we make that correction on the percentage, Britt, on
In
that?
your packet,
Okay, well, I didn't
for
see it
each
in this packet.
individual union.
If you're in the packet, I didn't see it in mine.
Well, we'll give you an opportunity to take a look at it, Counselor
No,
Bearable.
no, I've discussed it with Britt, so I'm okay with it. I just didn't have my computer up to snuff until today, so it didn't get put in the written packet, so I apologize for that.
Okay, thank you. It's been moved and supported to move forward with the memorandum of understanding with respect to health insurance that we proffered and was approved at the committee of the whole meeting. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
That is all I have for that meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Britt. And we'll move to item 10, the commission liaison department head reports. Does any counselor have a report that they'd like to give before the council this evening? I believe there was a public utilities meeting this afternoon. Counselor Bearable.
Yes, Mayor, thank you. Being the liaison of public utilities, we have some information. One of the reasons we haven't gotten all our information back on the audit is the fact that the LEA audit has not come back yet on the LEA portion of it from the public to the public utilities, so they're behind again as usual with getting their audit information. They admitted that in the meeting today. There was a injury, but they're in the to an individual that extended a knee, but there was no lost time, so that was good. They gave a little report, but I'm going to leave that, Mayor, for you. They gave a little report on the Highway 53 gap funding update, but you already said you're going to talk about that tonight. so I will not mention that. They approved their travel requests that they have to the summer MMUA Summer Conference, approved. They also approved a bid they need a new HVAC system in the utilities at a cost, the bid was $739,000 to Shannon's Incorporated of International Falls. They have no good HVAC in their system, no good air conditioning, no good, everything's window units, et cetera, so they approved that tonight, so. They gave an update on the solar panel development. They're still working with Mountain Iron and Minnesota Power for a new location that's located somewhere by their biomass site in Mountain Iron for a total of 2.4 megawatts between the two communities. They're now running their gas boiler at 55,000 pounds. They want to go back this summer to the coal-fired small boilers so they don't exceed their emissions in the winter months when they go back to some of the coal-fired. I gave them an update, like I was asked to do, about the health plan, the PEEP, and I gave it just basically what was said in our resolution tonight, an update. As of now, at their meeting, they didn't know if the union had voted or not, but they expect it to be done tomorrow. So I don't know, Brett, if their union is giving you an update, but they expect it to be done tomorrow. And they had given you folks, and I wasn't there in May when the manager came and gave you the updates, but they expect to have 700 total updates and installed steam conversions by this fall. And that includes Northside and Southside. They have already 200 applications for Northside already this year. So that's the update from their meeting. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councilor Berber. What I would like to do, just a tag along on your report for the public utilities, I think it would be prudent for us to send a formal letter to the public utilities requesting that any decision or any discussion with respect to any decision before they make that decision to go with that solar panel, that we get a fully updated and informed about that process. How's it moving forward? Because it's in Mountain Iron, because there's a collaborative, and some of that money could come up out of our agreement with Xcel Energy. I want to make sure that we have all the information. Historically, we have not got the information that we needed in a timely manner. Many of the financial decisions are made at the public utilities, comes on the consent agenda. So this is a very big project, and I want to make sure, I think we all want to make sure, and maybe we need that in a form of a motion, or maybe we can just direct staff to write a letter. We have a motion to make sure that we put a request into the Department of Public Service to make sure, utilities to make sure that they provide us with the information as they move along with these discussions, periodic updates, not until they make a decision, but as moving forward so we have an opportunity to weigh in. So I'm looking for a motion from somebody on the council to send a letter to the utilities to that effect.
Here, I'd make a motion that we specifically request written communication through each step of the process to ensure that we are informed as it's happening and not after the fact. But written communication probably through city administrator.
Could we amend that motion, not only a written communication, but a presentation to the council at some point, whether it's at the city council meeting or the committee of the whole? I would prefer it to be at the committee of the whole, and then again at the city council meeting, so people in the audience and who are listening at home could get updated as well.
I would amend it accordingly, yes.
Thank you. Is there support for that? Thank you. Support by Councilor Paulson. Is there any further discussion? Councilor Bearable.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with the motion at all. The part of this discussion on solar panels, if they have the ability to do it, there's some mandates out there from the state of Minnesota, so they're going to be looking at this seriously, that size, and that would meet the mandate that they have from the state for what they produce for electrical service. So, well, you're absolutely right, Mayor. We need to be informed on this.
Yeah, thank you. I know it has to do with the biomass and the alternate energy and all those kind of things, but at the same time, This is a huge expenditure which directly affects our customers, so thank you. Any further discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Any other counselor have anything they'd like to add? Okay, how about our staff? Britt, any special announcements? Tom? We have, huh? We have, huh? Pam? Anything, Sherry, you'd like to add? Okay, thank you. Okay. Just one quick announcement. It's the beach cleanup time. We have a really nice brochure now instead of just the announcement. Anybody in the audience, anybody listening at home, any counselor relative, if you would, I know every year there's a beach cleanup for our Silver Lake Beach. I know that it gets limited use, but the use it does get is enjoyed by all. And so we're going to have a beach cleanup. It's going to begin at 9 a.m. on Saturday, June 1st, at the beach there. If anybody is interested, has a few minutes or an hour or some more time to come and help with a little bit of the cleanup, it would be greatly appreciated. It's a big community effort. For any more info, we can contact Brian at 748-7506. That's 748-7506, and that's Brian Silber, our Park and Rec Director. If you have any other questions or comments, you need some more information, please do not hesitate to go to our city website or call the city administrator or the city clerk for some additional information. You can ask one of the counselors who will be more than happy to provide it for you. So thank you very much. Okay. Let's move to a couple of legislative updates. We have some good news from the legislature, not only from our local legislators, but those down in the metro area, and particularly from our lobbyist, Jarek and Associates. It was with great pleasure that we can announce as a council that, and as staff, that we did receive approval for the 1% sales tax for the Miners Memorial Building project. That tax is scheduled to begin in January of 2020. We're in the current process of having stakeholder meetings on the Miners project to do the design build through DSGW, Isaac Sports Group, and Carl Sanderson, who is our construction manager at risk. And then we'll be opening it up for the general public to do that as well. Once we've come to figure out what that design build is going to be and get some input from the general public. It's going to be a 4 to 6 month process to get that done. We'll do some limited soil borings to ensure that where it can be built, but we'll have the design build ready to go. Everybody will have some input in that regard, not only the users, but the public, generally speaking, as well. The public-private partnerships and all those things we'll try to work out within the next 4 to 6 months. And then if everything goes all right, in the spring of 2020 is when shovels will go in the ground to begin the Miners project. So thank you to everybody who worked very hard on that. Secondly, we did get approval for the $5.4 million, which is the gap funding that we had to incur as a result of the Department of Transportation's award to Kiewit for this project. They came over with our bid, it was to do it. That's why the funding gap was so high. We, as a council and staff, had to make really some difficult decisions on funding. That's why our budget is so tight, using some of our cash reserves and some of our investments in order to cover the costs associated with that $5.4 million has put a significant burden on our city and the services that we provide. So we did get approval for that, but it will not be payable to us until July 1st or August 1st, depending upon which they decide, in the year 2021. So we won't get that for a couple of years, but it was approved. It was in the budget last year when the Governor Dayton vetoed everything, and so it just sat there in limbo, but it was approved in this legislative session. So the 1% sales tax is approved. We did get the $5.4 million. In addition to that, we did receive $550,000 on from a special legislative fund, or whatever you want to call it. Britt, our city administrator, and I went down and testified last year as to the LCCMR, and it was approved. And we thank Senator Tomassoni for leading the charge and help us in that regard. So that was approved as well. So those are 3 big projects. The project that we still don't have, and we're working on very hard to get funding for, is the new public safety building, and that'll likely be proffered in the bonding bill that's scheduled to begin in 2020. Now, last year was a bonding bill, 2018, the bonding bill there was no bonding bill, the governor vetoed everything there. So they wanted to have a mini bonding bill this year. No bonding bill was they were able to come to an agreement. So next year is a bonding bill year. And so we hope that we'll be seeking some funding for the public safety building in that bonding year of next year. Now, we do have a request in this year for $15 million for site acquisition, property acquisition, site preparation, and a portion of the building, which is about between a $27 million project, give or take, moving forward. So those are the three big ticket items that we received in that regard. So I think it was a real good success for us in northern Minnesota. There weren't a lot of projects that were approved, but I think if it wasn't for the hard work of our staff and our lobbyists and our local legislators who stood behind us, and some of the metro legislators that came together, thanks to the ability for our lobbyists to bring forth some people together at some special meetings, and the three, Ron, Valerie, and Mike Jarek, who lobbied real hard for us there. So that's a good thing. So I have a couple more things to add, but I think, Councilor Bearable, you had a question or comment?
No, I just wanted to add a couple things to your Miners Memorial. I was at the last stakeholders meeting here and stuff, and I believe what they said, they're going to be meeting every first and third Thursdays.
Yeah, that was my
Of the
next,
month.
that was my next.
Oh,
deal, but
I'm
no,
sorry.
No, go, let's go.
And the
Perfect.
stakeholder meetings
Yep.
will be scheduled with different times. There's going to be 3 in each one of those dates. There's one on the conference center, there's one on the Hippodrome, or not the Hippodrome, the ice portion of it, the 2 rinks, and the other one's general public information, what they want to see in those buildings, so.
And all the public is invited to
All
attend
the
any of
public's
those meetings.
invited, and I believe we will be publishing, Britt, the times and stuff on that, so that was my only comment. Then I needed to ask one question.
Sure.
$5.4 million, I heard rumors that includes interest to us, is that correct or not correct?
Yes,
Okay,
we may
Thank
be
you.
able to cover the interest on that as well.
okay, that's an important part for me to know.
It is, and it's an important part for our finance director, who's a little sigh of relief in that regard as well. So yes, the interest is technically supposed to be included as well.
And because that makes it a little more palatable to have to wait 2 years for that money.
It does, and I think our legislators and were able to convey, the issues that we have with respect to our budget moving forward, and it was unnecessary for us to have to bear the cost of the interest with respect to the loan because because it wasn't approved. And we had a really good agreement, it was moving forward, and the reason that it was that way is because it was vetoed last year, so it's unfortunate. But yes, the interest is included in that, Councilor Bearable. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Okay, we have to have our budget priorities in for the legislature by June the 15th. So when we have our first committee, the whole meeting, we're going to have to decide what our budget priorities are going to be. I would like to see, because the public safety building is been it's proffered, it's in the bill, I would like to see that be the number one project. But this is something we'll discuss together at the committee, the whole meeting, in the event there's some other projects moving forward. We do have, I think, and we're going to have to start meeting on a couple of things, maybe put some committees together to talk with our city administrator, to talk about 2 things, 2 big issues. One is a rental code ordinance for this city, which we really need to get that done. We move forward with that. I think Britt's been working on a rental code ordinance, and so maybe we should, when it's time, we should have a committee meeting, whoever's ever in charge of building and grounds. I think we should take a look at that. And then we should meet on making sure that we do have enough of our process I forgot what the last item was, but give me a minute to think about that. I lost my train of thought. But that for sure, we need to make sure we go to the rental code ordinance. And then we have to start taking a look at our roads and streets. We do have, I know Rich working hard. We've had meetings with trying to put together, and Councilor Bearable, you've been involved in that. We need to bring a street and alley committee together, along with the information that Britt has, and maybe somebody else to look at what our 2021 project's going to be. I know that we're still having information being gathered, but at the appropriate time, I think we have to put that committee together as well to sit down and just go through all the minutia. So those are the two things I think I see moving forward. Is there anything else that anyone from the council would like to bring before the council before we adjourn for this evening? Seeing none. Yes, Councilor Bearable.
I would like to give kudos, I did it personally to our city clerk today, but it was mentioned at our meeting today that we had on the taxation hearings, how much good things that Pamela Labine had done with the county for the informational purpose they needed, and how well she put together the information they needed. So I just want to give her the A1 plus on what she did, because that was complimented by the head individual, Dave, from the county assessor's department.
And we had about 148,
I thought it was 165 total with those ones that they did.
165 with the letters, 165 total individuals who wanted to appeal their property. And it's a long, arduous process, Pam, and the county give you kudos for that. And thank you, Councilor Bearable, for bringing that forward. So thank you, Pam. Thank you very much.
And Mayor, I would like to personally, as Vice Mayor, thank you for all the hard work you did on these projects you mentioned, because you were down to that state legislature many times and spent many hours down there and on the road, and along with Britt was down there and our staff members. So I think you all deserve big kudos for getting these projects through for us. So thank you.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Councilor Bearable. We all worked really hard together to establish those priorities. So it's, we were successful, and I think we way to continue to move forward in a professional manner, cross the T's, dot the I's, like we always do when we go down the legislature. And this is a result of all our hard work. So thank you, everybody, for doing that. And before we adjourn, I would like to say one more thing. On Saturday, Dante Teeny, radio man first, third class, Dante S. Teeny, age 19, died in Pearl Harbor on December 7th, 1941. His remains were recovered with a bunch of other remains. It was identified, and arrangements were made to bring his remains home. And the Teeny family worked very hard and trying to find a way to honor Mr. Teeny, radio man third class, Dante Teeny. And so I want to thank the city council, our city staff, our fire department, and our police department for helping make this come to fruition. Because when the funeral procession left the church, we as a council, you all approved the route down 2nd Avenue and then left on Chestnut Street, and the remains along with the family procession stopped in front of the Veterans Servicemen Center, where a retired St. Louis County Deputy Sheriff named Chuck Berquist played Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. There was a big sign there, and there was a lot of people there. And then they proceeded to 4th Avenue, where it turned right, and as the police officers were directing traffic, they gave the hand salute in honor and in respect for Mr. Dante Teeny. And then it went past the fire hall, where the Hibbing ladder truck and the Virginia ladder truck had the American flag draped across each ladder. And those firefighters are dressed up in their class uniforms and gave the appropriate and honored and solemn salute and respect. And then it went past the Veterans Memorial itself, where there was a group of disabled American vets and others that stood and provided that. So, and then when I get up to the cemetery, the Army Rifle Squad, the Virginia Servicemen's Club, and the Navy gave honor to Dante as he was buried And really, the Navy did a beautiful job, and so did the United States Army. And I want to thank Cam Jason and his honor guard for the way they conducted themselves at the funeral where they were the pallbearers. So everybody pitched in for a very solemn and respectful tribute to bring in a missing in action and MIA home. He's no longer missing, he's home now. So that was a great thing. And again, and last but not least, I want to thank Congressman Stauber, because Congressman Stauber, the body was to be flown to Minneapolis, and that's what they normally do. But Congressman Stauber's office, Spencer Igo and Zach and the congressman and all the rest of his staff arranged for that, the remains to be brought to Duluth, organized the reception there. Congressman Stauber flew back from Washington, D.C., so he could be at the airport with the family. And he brought his wife, Jody, who was a retired colonel in the Air Force Reserves and an Iraq War veteran, and his son there. And then on Saturday, he came to the funeral. And he wrote a personal letter to the family. And he also wrote into the congressional record the recognition of Dante Teen in his service. So if it wasn't for City Council, the staff, our police and fire, Congressman Stauber, and all the volunteers and the VFW people and all the military personnel all came together to honor this hero of our war. So I want to thank everybody for that, because it was really an honorable and solemn ceremony. And then also Congressman Stauber arranged for the 148th Fighter Wing to fly over which was a huge effort on his part to get that done. So it went very well. So I thank everybody for all of that. So that being said, and thank you everybody who was there, lining the streets with flags and waving and hand on the heart and saluting the flag, and all these individuals. A guy that was, I can't remember how old he's 100 years old, almost 100 years old, 101. He was there. So it came from all walks of life. So thank you so much for everything you all did. Okay, nothing else before coming before the council. We will move to adjourn to our, we should have one more thing. Should we set a date for our one meeting in July, or do we already do that? We'll put that on the June agenda? Okay, we'll put it on the June agenda. Okay, nothing else come before the council. Thank you for everybody for all your hard work, and we will stand adjourned to Tuesday, June 11th, 2019 at 5:30 p.m. Thank you.